Elliot, are you asking me to come work for you at Gray Manor?
Yeah, why not? You'd fit right in. You're brilliant. You got a ton of experience.
Breaking Bad is famously a show about
Change.
But when exactly did that change take place? When did Walter White go from this
Veggie bacon. We're watching our cholesterol.
to this?
I am the one who knocks.
The key episode of the series, the crux of the entire show, is the 5th episode of season 1, Gray Matter. In the previous episode, Walt refuses Jesse's money and swears off cooking meth because he just killed a guy.
Get the hell off my property.
But then, 2 episodes later, he invents a new identity for himself.
Heisenberg.
But Gray Matter shows Walt's transition between these 2 states. Without this episode, the show could have fallen apart. So how did this happen? Well, there's 3 sequences in this episode centering on Walt's refusal to accept chemotherapy. I call them the offer, the options, and the choice. These 3 sequences carefully show Walt's decision-making process and provide a roadmap to his soul. The offer happens at Elliot Schwartz's birthday party, and though they never say it specifically, I assume this is Elliot's 50th birthday, given that everyone is making such a fuss and Walt just turned 50. But Elliot's party is much more extravagant than Walt's. He's being treated as the guest of honor, the center of attention while he's opening his presents.
Just any strap. That's one of Clapton's.
No way.
While Walt was sidelined at his own party.
Looks like Keith Richards with a glass of warm milk.
The episode even opens with Walt insulting his own birthday gift to Elliot.
Stupid gift.
No, it isn't. He'll love it.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Immediately, he's telegraphing that he feels inferior to Elliot and his money. This difference in status is evident by the wardrobe worn by the party guests.
Jesus. I guess we didn't get the beige memo.
They wear beige, a color that symbolizes normalcy in Breaking Bad. Elliot is wearing beige over a white shirt, symbolizing his inner purity and goodness. But Walt and Skyler are overdressed in gaudy blue.
I look like I'm wearing a prom dress from 1985.
Honey, you look fine.
They're wearing what a poor person might think rich people would wear to a pool party. It's interesting to rewatch this episode knowing more about Walt's past.
And I sold my share to my 2 partners. Care to guess what that company is worth now? $2.16 billion as of last Friday. I look it up every week.
So you can only imagine what must be going through his head as he browses through their library. When he's standing here, he's framed to look small and out of place. Walt looks at a Scientific American cover story about Elliot, echoing this scene in the pilot. As Walt exercises in a dull, dim room, he stares at an award for contribution to the research that won a Nobel Prize. It might as well have been a participation certificate or an award for attendance. So in this episode, as Walt looks at this magazine cover, we now know he believes that all of this should be his.
It's my hard work, my research, and you and Elliot make millions off it.
The party guests talk about his glory days, extolling him like a legend.
Back at Caltech, you were just a master of crystallography.
But now, he can't even admit that he's a mere high school teacher.
I gravitated toward education.
What university?
After Walt's gift of ramen noodles touches Elliot, the 2 reconnect.
That was the same guy who always smelled like chocolate milk. It was.
Then the unexpected happens. Elliot, the billionaire, asks for Walt's help.
You may be exactly what we need.
By doing this, Elliot places himself in a lower status position. Now, Walt has a glimmer of hope. Maybe now his genius will be recognized. He can return to the lab, reclaim a small piece of what should have been his. Maybe now it can be his face on a copy of Scientific American. But then, the most crucial moment, the most crucial line in Breaking Bad.
We have excellent health insurance. The best.
God, look how defeated Walt is as he realizes Elliot didn't actually need his help. He just pitied him. A moment ago, they were 2 men making a deal, and now Walt is once again low status. Elliot is the real man who provides for his family. Walt is a loser who needs to beg for help just to survive. Rather than face his insecurities in a mature way, Walt externalizes his feelings.
Some face-saving bullshit.
And then, in a moment of meta foreshadowing, his wounded male ego focuses his rage onto Skyler.
I don't like the way you talk about my private affairs.
Just like many fans of Walter White did in real-life social media. Skyler, going over his head to ask for help, makes him feel like less of a man, like a boy whose mom is helping him try on pants. She made him feel like he doesn't have a say in his own life. And, as we'll see in the next sequence, that's the last thing that Walt wants. In the second sequence, which I call the options, it centers on the intervention Skyler holds for Walt. The family's goal is to beg him to accept treatment. Not just to accept Gretchen and Elliot's money, but to accept any treatment at all. And this is one of the best intervention scenes in TV history, right up there with The Sopranos.
Great, my own mother. You whore.
First, the family appeals to Walt. Skylar is emotional and concise.
Now that Elliot is more than willing to pitch in, Walt, I understand that it's hard for you to accept help. Maybe it's the way you were raised.
Hank gets lost in a tangent.
It's the bottom of the ninth. Bases are loaded. You're up.
But Walt Jr.'s remarks probably cut the deepest.
You're a pussy.
No father wants his son to question his courage or call him out for not being a man. But then Marie turns the scene on its head by introducing another point of view.
I think you should do whatever you want to do.
And then she sways Hank.
What? Maybe Walt wants to die like a man, all right?
This adds humor to the scene, but it also shows that Walt's decision isn't cut and dry. There is a nobility in choosing how you want to die. Then Walt takes command and carefully lays out his feelings in a brilliant 4-minute monologue. It boils down to this.
What I want, what I need, is a choice.
And this is also where he spells out his motivation for the entire show.
My entire life. It just seems I never, had a real say about any of it.
And he also tells us his greatest fear.
And me, some dead man, some artificially alive. And that's how you would remember me. That's the worst part.
Walt doesn't want to be used by other people. He doesn't want to be a thing. He wants to be alive. Remember his confession from the final episode of the show?
I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it. I was alive.
That brings us to the third section, the choice. Walt wakes up in bed alone. He sees Skylar isn't there and he buries his face in her pillow, smelling her hair. He smells her beauty product and realizes how much he's going to miss her and that he wants to be with his family as long as possible. The pile of books at the bedside catches his eye. The baby books have dropped to the bottom of the stack in favor of a new book about treating cancer by eating healthy food. That's when he realizes that, no matter what, Skylar won't stop fighting for his life. This quiet moment with household objects is actually foreshadowed by Skylar's talking pillow at the intervention that reads, "Find joy in the little things." So, in a roundabout way, the talking pillow spoke to Walt. Walter is an analytical man. He always weighs every option carefully before making a decision. In this short moment, he's thinking through every possible outcome for himself and his family. He realizes that Skylar will never support his decision. She will resent him for the rest of his life. So will his son. They want him to fight. But he won't take money from Gretchen and Elliot. He resents them for building an empire on his research.
My hard work, my research, and you and Elliot make millions off it.
He would have to forgive them for being successful if they used that success to save his life. And his pride just can't let him do that. He can't take their charity because that money rightfully belongs to him. So if he accepts treatment, there's only one way he can pay for it: by cooking meth. And this is the exact moment he makes the choice. At this point, Walt is no longer innocent. He's already killed a man. But here's where he decides that he's okay with the consequences. He decides that no matter what, I will have a choice. If I can't decide how I die, I'll decide how I survive. And this reveals the double meaning of the episode's title, Gray Matter. It's the name of Walt and Elliot's company, but it's also the name given to parts of our neurological system. All our choices happen here in the gray matter between our ears. Walt makes a choice. Walt decides what kind of man he wants to be.
I'll do the treatment.
Later, at his treatment, he's wrapped in plastic like the artificial thing he dreaded becoming. But he can live with that now because secretly, he's made a different choice: to become a criminal and to be truly alive. The episode ends with him visiting Jesse and uttering the 4 words that will condemn him forever.
Want to cook?
The reason this episode is so vital is that Walt was offered an out, but he turned it down. This reveals his original sin: pride.
Say my name.
It turns out that Walt is not actually a good man. He's an evil person hiding inside a good man's skin. Pretend for a second that Walt was never offered this option, that every decision he made really was to protect his family and not his ego. Eventually, when Gus threatened his children, he would have done the rational thing and gone to the police. But Walter White, full of pride, could never admit defeat. He had to win.
What happened?
I won.
He digs deeper into the criminal underworld. It's not enough for him to work for Gus, he has to become Gus.
I'm in the empire business.
After this episode, Walt would never again make a pros and cons list before killing a man. From now on, there would be no limit to his monstrosity because he gives himself permission to become a monster. At this exact moment, Heisenberg was born.
Goddamn right.
Alright guys, what did you think about the video? Let me know in the comments below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.